the prophetic promise. The words are short. They appear in collections that millions of Muslims consider authoritative. The Prophet Muhammad speaks about a man who will come. That man will fill the earth with justice. The earth will have been filled with oppression before him. The announcement does not come with elaborate description. It does not name a specific date. It simply states that a guided leader, a MAHDI, will appear. These reports did not stay private. They circulated among the companions. They moved from teacher to student. They entered the early written records. What is striking is not that one collection preserves the words. It is that multiple collections do. Sunan Abu Dawud records a version. Jami at-Tirmidhi records a version. Musnad Ahmad records a version. Sunan Ibn Majah records a version. 4 separate hadith compilations. 4 chains of transmission. The same core promise arriving through different paths. The wording remains terse. The Prophet names no birth year, no country, no physical mark in these early announcements, just the promise itself. A man from his family, a man who will lead, a man who will restore what was broken. Later generations would add detail. Later scholars would argue over specifics, but the seed was planted here. A single promise, repeated, preserved, authoritative. This textual seed did something no abstract idea could do. It gave later groups a warrant they could read, a warrant they could quote, a warrant they could point to when they claimed that a particular living person was the one the Prophet meant. The promise sat inside books that carried legal weight. It was not a folk story told in a market. It was a hadith, and a hadith could be used to move armies, to build movements, to challenge rulers. That is what happened. The short sentences spoken by the Prophet became the foundation for political claims, sectarian identities, and historical events that reshaped regions. They sat inside books that carried legal weight. Armies marched, movements grew, and rulers were challenged in their name. Name and name-likeness. The Prophet gave more than a promise. He gave a name, or something close to a name. The hadith collections record his words. Some versions say the Mahdi will have a name like the Prophet's name. Some say his name will be the Prophet's name. The difference is small, but it is there. One narration in Jami at-Tirmidhi states plainly, "His name will be like my name." The wording leaves a small space. Does that mean Muhammad or Ahmad? Both were the Prophet's names. Another chain in Sunan Abu Dawud uses different language. It ties the Mahdi to the Prophet's household without fixing the personal name exactly. Other collections repeat the idea with slight shifts. The precise phrase never settled into a single identical form. The early transmitters preserved the variations. They did not erase them. The collections give us both styles. Some texts point to a shared personal name. Others point only to a shared lineage. Both are preserved. Both carry authority. That ambiguity did not stay inside books. It walked out into history. When a man stood up and said he was the Mahdi, he could point to these words. If his name was Muhammad, he had a claim. If he was from the Prophet's line, he had a claim. The name became a simple test, a credential anyone could check. Scholars later argued about this. Some said the name must be exactly Muhammad ibn Abdullah. Others said that was too narrow. They pointed to the variant wordings. The debate never closed, and so the door stayed open for anyone with the right name and the right family line to step forward and say the hadith was about him. Claimants stepped forward, announced their name and showed their lineage, and people checked the claim aloud. Those announcements launched movements. 3. Lineage. From the Prophet's household. The Prophet speaks again. This time he places the Mahdi inside a family. His family. Some hadith records say the words are simple. He says the Mahdi will be from my household. He says from my family. Sunan Abu Dawud preserves this language. Musnad Ahmad preserves it too. The wording is general. It leaves the door open. Any descendant of the Prophet could fit. Other narrations narrow the circle. They mention Fatima by name. The Mahdi will come from the children of Fatima. That is more specific, but still not a full genealogy, still not a list of fathers and sons stretching across centuries. In Sunni collections, the lineage claim stays broad. The promise is tied to the family tree, but not to one particular branch, one particular name, one particular hidden child waiting in history. Now look at the early Shia texts. They start with the same building blocks, the same phrase about the Prophet's family, the same mention of Fatima's line. But they do not stop there. In the books of al-Nu'mani and al-Tusi, the lineage is not left open. It is closed, completed. The Mahdi is identified as Muhammad ibn Hassan al-Mahdi, the 12th Imam. A precise chain of fathers connects him back to Ali and Fatima and the Prophet. Names, generations, a fixed position in a sequence of Imams. The same starting language was treated so differently. Sunni transmitters kept the lineage general, a future descendant, not yet born, not yet named. Shia transmitters used the same words to anchor a fully specified identity, an already born child, a hidden imam whose name, father, and birth year were recorded. That difference became a hinge. Everything turned on it. In one tradition, the promise remained open. Anyone from the Prophet's line could rise and claim to be the one. In the other, the promise was sealed. The Mahdi was already here, already hidden, already waiting. The same words, two completely different doors. And once a community walked through one door, the other door disappeared behind them. 4. Signs and physical description. The Prophet did not only promise a leader, he told his followers what to look for. The hadith collections do not keep the Mahdi hidden behind a title. They give him a face. They describe a forehead that is wide, a nose that stands out. Some narrations add a mark on the body. Sunan Abu Dawud records these physical notes. Sunan Ibn Majah holds them. Musnad Ahmad transmits similar lines, but the texts do not stop at the face. They also list what the world will look like before he rises. The earth will be filled with oppression. Then he will fill it with justice. Armies will appear. Treasures will come out of the ground. Signs in the sky and on the land. These larger indicators sit right next to the descriptions of his body inside the same collections. The weight of this does not come from one detail alone. It comes from the fact that the collections kept both kinds of signs. They did not separate the physical from the cosmic. A claimant could be checked against a wide forehead and a prominent nose. At the same moment, people could ask whether the world had reached the breaking point described in the same hadith. A man had to match a face and fit a broken time. This mixture turned an invisible promise into a checkable person. That is exactly what happened. Movements later pointed to living men and said, "Look at his forehead, look at his nose." The description fits. The same physical signs that once sat on a manuscript became reasons to pledge loyalty or raise a sword. The hadith gave the Mahdi a human shape, and once a hope has a shape, people start looking for it in every crowd. 5. Role with Dajjal and Isa, Jesus. The world is breaking. A deceiver rises. His name is Dajjal. He brings chaos that nothing human can stop. Then a figure descends from the sky. Jesus. He returns not as a founder of a new religion, but as a follower of the Prophet Muhammad. But he does not land into an empty scene. Someone is already leading. The Mahdi is there. The hadith collections place these two names together deliberately. Sunan Abu Dawud records the connection. Jami at-Tirmidhi preserves it. Musnad Ahmad transmits the same pairing. The Mahdi leads the Muslim community through the worst of the tribulation. Jesus comes down to join that struggle, not to replace the Mahdi, but to stand beside him. The texts describe a battlefield, not a pulpit, a war against deception, not a sermon. Jesus prays. He does not stand alone at the front. He stands behind the Mahdi, a prophet of God, one of the 5 greatest messengers, steps into the rows of prayer and follows a leader who is not a prophet. The narration does not say Jesus takes command. It says he prays behind the Mahdi. That single physical act, a man bowing behind another man, shifts everything. It places the Mahdi in the position of political and military authority. Jesus recognizes his leadership, not the other way around. This is not a spiritual footnote. The texts assign the Mahdi a role that is active, armed, and public. He governs. He fights. He restores justice while Jesus stands with him. Later communities read these lines and built expectations around what a Mahdi must do. He would not just appear. He would rule, and the greatest prophet to ever return would pray behind him. If this is opening your eyes to what Islamic sources actually say, subscribe, hit the bell, and leave a like. That's what makes YouTube show this to more people. Done. Let's keep going. 6. Timing and duration. The promise is clear. A guided leader will appear. But when he comes, how long does he stay? The hadith give 3 different answers. 7 years, 9 years, 40 years. All of them in the same books. These numbers do not come from one lost report. They sit inside Sunan Abi Dawud. They appear in Sunan Ibn Majah. Musnad Ahmad preserves multiple chains. The collections themselves contain the variation. A single technical detail, the length of his rule, does not stay fixed. It fractures. One chain says 7, another says 9, another reports 40. The books keep all of them. They do not choose. This is not a rare mistake. It is right there in the most respected early sources. So what happens when a claimant rises and does not last? Muhammad Ahmad of Sudan declared himself Mahdi in 1881. He ruled for 4 years before he died in 1885. That is not 7, not 9, not 40, but his followers did not give up. They looked at the numbers and said, the hadith means something else. Maybe the years are symbolic. Maybe the chain was weak. The variation gave them room. Failed predictions did not end the belief. They just moved the reading. The numbers did not settle the question. Followers reinterpreted them and kept organizing around new claimants. 7. Claimants and movements. A man stands before a crowd in Sudan. The year is 1881. He tells them he is the Mahdi. The people know the hadith. They have heard the Prophet's words. Now someone is saying those words point to him. His name is Muhammad Ahmad. That matches the name-likeness hadith. He says his family goes back to Fatima. That matches Sunan Abi Dawud and Musnad Ahmad. He points to the injustice everywhere. The hadith said the Mahdi comes when the world is full of oppression. He says this is that time. What he does next turns the hadith into a checklist. He goes through every sign. Name, Muhammad, lineage, from the Prophet's household, the chaos in the land, even physical marks. Some hadith describe a broad forehead and prominent nose. His followers see those in him. He lines himself up completely with the text, but the same hadith give numbers, 7 years, 9, 40. Muhammad Ahmad rules for 4. In 1885 he dies of typhus. The predicted years do not come true, yet the movement does not collapse. His followers say the numbers were symbolic, or the chain was weak. The belief survives the failure. In India, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad also uses the hadith. He is born around 1835. He claims to be the Mahdi and the Messiah. His name includes Ahmad. He builds a new community, the Ahmadiyya, around these claims. After his death in 1908, it keeps growing. These declarations do not stay in speeches. Muhammad Ahmad's forces take over much of Sudan. The British send an army. Thousands die. A state rises and falls. In India, a new religious movement is born and spreads across the world. Armies clashed and thousands died. A state rose and fell. 8. The Shi'i Resolution, the hidden 12th Imam. A child is born in Samarra. The year is 869 CE. His father is Hassan al-Askari, the 11th Imam. The birth is kept secret. Abbasid authorities watch the house. They want to know if a son exists, because hadith say the 12th Imam will be the Mahdi. The child is named Muhammad. He is given the title al-Mahdi. Al-Nu'mani records this in Kitab al-Ghaiba. Al-Tusi preserves the chain. These are early Shi'i texts, not late additions. They are writing within a century of the event. When the boy is about 5, his father dies. The boy disappears. A system starts. 4 agents appear, one after the other. They claim to carry letters from the Imam. They bring answers to questions. They collect funds. The community knows their names. Uthman ibn Sa'id al-Amri is the first. His son Muhammad takes over. Then Hussein ibn Ruh al-Nawbakhti. Then Ali ibn Muhammad al-Samarri. Al-Kafi and other books name them all. This period is called the Minor Occultation. It lasts about 70 years. The Imam is hidden but reachable through these agents. Then in 941 CE, the 4th agent receives a letter. The letter says he will die soon. There will be no successor. The major occultation has begun. The Imam is now fully hidden. No one sees him. No one speaks for him directly. He will remain absent until the end of time. That letter is recorded by Al-Tusi. It closes the door. Now Shi'i scholars step in. They interpret his will. They turned the letters into rulings and institutions. When people needed a decision, An agent's answer was read aloud and enforced in the Imam's name while the community waited. 8 recorded concrete claims preserved across Hadith and early Shia reports. The pattern in the sources. A prophetic promise is recorded. A son is named and his birth kept secret. Deputies appear bearing letters that answer questions and collect funds. A final letter declares there will be no successor, and the Imam slips from view. Sunni Hadith collections left the promise open for a future leader, used by claimants like Muhammad Ahmad of Sudan. Shi'i Hadith collections fixed the promise onto a named genealogical line and an already born, hidden 12th Imam. What this episode shows is how the same prophetic sentences can produce 2 very different real-world orders. One that opens space for public claimants and political movements, and one that creates a durable clerical apparatus organized around an absent leader. If this opened your eyes to something you didn't know about Islam, share it with someone who needs to see this. Subscribe if you haven't. See you in the next one.